Welcome to physics class on third law of motion and conservation of momentum for class 9. Now in today's class we will try to learn about the third law of motion as we have learned about the first law and second law in the previous video, and we also try to learn conservation of momentum, and also we will try to prove the conservation of momentum. So Newton's third law, it is very simple, and we already know that for every action there is equal and opposite reaction. The statement means that in every interaction there is a pair of forces, acting on two interacting objects. The size of the force on the first object equals the size of the force on the second object. That means the direction of the force on the first object is just the opposite to the direction of the force on the second object. So force always comes in pairs, equal and opposite. If one is action, the other will be reaction. Some notes, to be noted. Let's see. Action and reaction are just forces. They are not different from one another. They are what? Forces. But the only difference is that they act not on the same body. They may act onto the different body also. Action and reaction act on different bodies but simultaneously. Simultaneously means at the same time. When force is acting on one body, the reaction if acted on the another body, but they will be acting on one body and another body simultaneously. Got it? Though action and reaction forces are equal in magnitude, but they do not produce equal acceleration. This is very important. Though action and reaction forces are equal in magnitude, opposite in direction, no doubt, but they do not produce equal acceleration in the two bodies on which they act. So let's see some of the examples that we can explain about this third law of motion. Now I'm showing you two spring balance here. You must be knowing spring balance, right? Yes, these spring balance hook each other, and we try to pull by our hand on this right side as well as on the left hand side. And if you try to pull and if you try to observe the two this spring balance, then you will find the reading on the scale will be of the same value. It will give you the same force, and this side also will give you the same force. So what happened here in my diagram, the left spring balance reads 58 gram weight, and the right spring balance, the right side spring balance also shows 58 gram weight. So it gives you the same force that is acting on right side with that acting on the left hand side. So if one is action, the another will be reaction. But in my diagram here, this right hand side represents action and this one will represent what? Reaction. So it will be of the same. Rather you may target these as what? Action, and this right hand side as reaction. Got it? Now if you throw a ball onto a stationary wall, then what happened? The movement or the motion of the ball onto the wall, that will be the action. That means the force with which the ball hits the wall, that will be action. And on the other hand, the ball will rebound. Why that the ball rebounds? Because the wall also gives a force onto the ball. That is, we call it that force as reaction. So with that action, the ball hits the wall, and in return again the wall hits the ball with that force, and that force with which the wall hits the ball, we call it that back, that as reaction. Got it? Yes. Same is the case in the case of recoil of a gun. You might have seen that in a recoil of a gun, when gun is fired, okay, during at that firing, what happened, the bullet moves forward, whereas the gun will move backward. Okay, you might have seen this in the case of what Bofors guns, and then those of the what like what we call as the ancient top. Okay, when that cannon is fired, then what happened, the Bofors gun or the top will move backward. That moving backward of that what gun or that machine, when something is fired forward, we call it that as recoil of that object. In the case of gun, it will be recoil of gun. That means backward motion of the gun, okay, during that firing. So what happened in the case of firing of a gun, what happened, the bullet moves forward, that is a force. And why that gun moves backward? Because there is a chemical reaction taking place in that bullet. When that with that chemical reaction, the bullet ejects or moves forward, and at the same time the chemical reaction after bursting it, what happened, it will hit the gun backward. Okay, so that backward motion of the gun, that will be nothing but the reaction. Okay, and the bullet that moves forward is what, the action. So what happened in the firing of a gun also, what happened, the action and the reaction are equal and opposite. Let's see some another example also. In the case of what, this moving of these what rockets, okay, at a time of launching of rockets, what happened, from these different chambers there, okay, these are nothing but these chambers are the fuels, okay, and these fuels will emit out or ejects out that burn gases, okay, in a very high speed, okay, with a high temperature, with a high pressure, it ejects out very fast. So this is the action first, the fuels that ejects outward, that is toward the what art, that will be the action, and that force with which this what rocket moves outward, that is nothing but the reaction. Okay, that much force, okay, that ejects the burned gases downward, vertically downward, in the opposite direction, that means vertically upward, the what this rocket will move upward. Got it? Now you can see some another examples also. Now here also, in the while walking, okay, when we walk, what happen, our heel, okay, will balance our body. So what happen, the weight of the body will be vertically downward, and the reaction will be what, in the upward direction. That means the force that is acting by the body, okay, by our body onto the art, that will be the action, and that action we call it the force, okay, the force that is acting by our body onto the art, we call it our own weight, right? So the art also okay, give you one equal and opposite reaction, okay, that reaction simply we call it as a reaction of the weight, okay, by the art onto the body. Now what happened, these two are equal and opposite. Got it? Had this weight been be greater than the reaction, then we might have depressed our own foot inside the earth. The leg may be going inside the earth, okay. If you walk on the mud, then what happened, your leg pushes inside, because what happened, your weight is more than the reaction given by the muddy earth. Got it? So if your earth is hard enough, then what happened, your weight will be equal and opposite to the reaction given by the earth onto our leg, okay. But what happened while we are walking, this weight and okay, this weight will be there vertically downward, and if you when you walk it, when you pull your heel upward, then the action or the force will be acting along this direction because you are going to move forward, right? So what happened, the force will be acting in this direction, not vertically downward. So when you push your leg in this direction, that will be action. That force that is acting or pushing your leg onto the earth, it will be in this direction. So that will be a force acting on this direction, so we may call it this as action. And opposite to it, there will be a reaction given by the earth onto the leg or onto your toe, we can say, as it is shown here as your toe. So let's take it that the toe gives force onto the earth in this direction, whereas the reaction will be opposite, okay, equal in magnitude and opposite in direction. So it will be along this line but in the opposite direction. That will be the reaction. Now what happened, this weight, okay, when you try to resolve it, then what happened, this reaction, okay, into two rectangular components, one along the horizontal and another along the vertical. We call it that the component of this reaction in the vertical direction, we call it as vertical component, and the component of this reaction onto the horizontal direction, we call it as horizontal component of reaction, right? So component means what? Nothing. We are going to split this reaction into two forces, okay? Instead of this reaction, it will be equivalent to have only these two forces. So if you combine these two components, horizontal and vertical, then you will get this reaction. So we are going to split. That means we are going to assume that instead of this reaction, we are having these two forces. Had there been no reaction, then there will not be these components, right? So instead of this reaction, we may think that there are two components. One is horizontal component, another is vertical component. So what happened, this vertical component, okay, of the reaction will be cancelled by its own weight. That means these two will neutralize. Your feet will not get inside the earth, or it will not fly upward above the earth also, okay? That means these two are equal and opposite. They are balanced forces, okay? Weight and vertical component of reaction, they are equal and opposite, so they will balance each other, we say. And there is no other component, okay, horizontal component, okay, of this reaction. There is no another component acting in the opposite direction. So what happened, this is the unbalanced force, and with this horizontal component of reaction, we move forward, right? So in that way we move forward, right? Same is the case in the case of jumping of yourself from the boat onto the shore, okay? When you jump toward that side, that is toward the shore, that is the action, okay? When you jump from this position to this position, you have to jump from the boat to the shore, right? So what happened, that force with which you applied, okay, onto the jumping, that is nothing but that is your, I think the diagram is wrong, I'm sorry, okay, while I'm making it was wrong. The force with which this, while jumping, okay, you have to push backward, okay, you have to push backward first like this, so as to move forward, right? So this will be action. The force with which you push to just to jump forward, that is the action. And the reaction you are getting from the boat onto yourself just to make yourself to jump forward, that is nothing but the reaction, okay? Yeah, but we can take it that that is also reaction, action, and that one can be also a reaction. How? If you are jumping forward, then what happened, that will be action. Due to that action, what happened, reaction will be along this direction. That means because of your jumping forward, your boat will move backward, okay? So likewise you can also think it in that way. Now let's take a very funny example about this problem of horse and cart, okay? Now think that this horse can speak just like that in your cartoon movies, okay? And the horse is urged to pull a cart, okay? This man asks the horse to pull his own cart, okay, to the horse, but the horse refused to do it, saying what, according to Newton's third law, okay, when I pull it, you will also pull, your cart will also pull backward, okay. So then what happen, if I pull also, if I move also, your cart will also move backward. That means if I make the action, your cart will also have the reaction. So equal and opposite reaction means what? The cart will not move, okay. And saying that depending upon this, action and reaction are equal and opposite due to that of Newton's third law. If I pull also, okay, it will never move, the horse said. Then what you have to say to the horse? What will be your reply, or how would you reply to the horse? Suppose think that you are sitting on a cart like this, the person that is sitting on the cart is you yourself, and think it, then what will be your reply to that horse, to this horse? When horse is saying that according to Newton's law, that force that I am pulling, that will be also equal and opposite to that reaction, then why should I pull it? If the horse said like that, then how would you reply to the horse? Let's see. No doubt your cart is having its own weight, okay, and there will be reaction given by the earth onto the cart also. That is what weight is. Weight of the cart is the action, and the reaction of the cart is vertically upward, so they will balance each other, okay, no doubt. And the cart, the tension you can say onto this, okay, stick or rope, whatever it is having connected with the cart and the horse, you may take that force, okay, that let's denote it by TCH. That means this TCH is the reaction pull on the cart, to the cart on to the horse, okay. That means the cart, okay, will be pulled by the horse, and that we call it that as the force. Let's take it, the forward pull on the of the horse onto the cart, let's denote it by HTHC. That means THC is nothing but this is the forward pull of the horse on the cart, okay, and it is denoted by THC. And this will be balanced no doubt by the equal and opposite what reaction, TCH. Okay, what is this TCH? This TCH is nothing but the reaction pull of the cart onto the horse, okay. Now if these two forces, okay, they are acting, just like if one is action, another will be the reaction. Got it? The force that is pulled by the horse onto the cart, let's denote it by this, and the another force that is force, okay, pulling the horse by the cart, okay, that will be in the left hand side. So what happened, one is on the right hand side, another is on the left hand side, and they are equal and opposite again according to Newton's third law. So what happened, if the horse pull toward the right side and the cart pulls the horse toward the left side, then what happened, there will not be any motion at all, because these two are balanced forces, right? So what happened, the motion of the cart will not be there, right? Now then what happened, let's see. Now you have to say that if the horse try to pulls, okay, the cart in the slanting position, that means if the leg of the horse is making to pull in this direction by giving an action, okay, onto the earth like this, then what happened, the reaction will be in the opposite direction according to your Newton's third law, equal in magnitude but opposite in direction, in this direction, right? So what happened, if you try to resolve this, resolving means what, splitting, okay, instead of this reaction, if you try to resolve into two rectangular components, rectangular means perpendicular to each other, these horizontal and vertical are perpendicular to each other. So if you try to split this reaction into two components, one along the horizontal, one another along the vertical, then we call it that two as vertical components, okay. So these vertical component will balance by the weight of the horse, WH, got it, WH, right? This WH will be balanced by the vertical component, but there is what, the horizontal component there, and if this horizontal component is greater than the friction that is arising between the wheel of the cart, okay, with respect to the earth, okay, so that frictional force and this horizontal component, if these two are equal and opposite, again then there will not be no motion at all. But in this case, if this horse try to pull in the slanting position like this, if this horse tries to pull forward, then what happen, the leg of the horse must be giving action in this direction. So with the reaction, what happen, if we resolve it into two rectangular component, vertical component will neutralize with the weight of the horse, and this horizontal component of the reaction, if this horizontal component, okay, of this reaction is greater than the frictional force arising between the tires of the wheel and the earth, then what happen, the cart will surely move, because if these two are equal and opposite, then no doubt there will not be no motion at all. But if this horizontal component is more or greater in magnitude than that of the frictional force, then what happen, the cart will move forward, because that capital H minus small f will have some finite value, and that finite value will be nothing but that will be the unbalanced force with which the cart will move forward, right? Have you got it? Yes, I'm sure that you might have understood it, right? Now let's see law of conservation of momentum. You know, momentum means what? Momentum means the total amount of motion present in a moving object, right? And it is measured by the product of the mass and its velocity, right? It is a vector quantity, right? Yes. Let's try to give the statement of this conservation of momentum. When two or more bodies, okay, acts upon one another, their total momentum remains constant, provided no external force, okay, acts on them. When two or more bodies, okay, act upon one another or each other, if you consider only two objects, then let's take it that when these two objects act upon each other, then what happen, before acting, the total momentum, that means the sum of the momentum before acting, will be equal to the total momentum after acting, okay? Then that momentum which remains same before acting and after acting, we call it that as conservation of momentum. That means momentum doesn't change, momentum remains same. Conserve means same, constant, okay? You can also give the statement in another way also. In an isolated system, what happened, the total momentum of the system remains conserved. When I say isolated, means what happened, there is no other external forces acting on this two body system. Now you take it one coin here, another coin here, like this, okay? When you try to strike this coin by the striker, got it, these two will collide it like this, no? So before collision, what was the momentum? The sum of momentum. After collision, what will be the total momentum? The sum of the momentum, I mean. So that total momentum, sum of the momentum before collision will be equal to sum of the momentum after collision, okay? That principle we call it as what? Conservation of momentum. So let's try to prove it this in the next, okay, and you will know it better. Now in the proof of this, let's take it two cars, okay, one big car and another small car which moves from the backward, okay. Let the car of this bigger car, let the mass of this bigger car be denoted by m1 and moving with velocity u1. Got it? u1, right? let the bigger car be of mass m1 moving with velocity u1. Let a small car which comes from the back side of this bigger car, that means the smaller car be having a mass m2, and it also moves with the initial velocity u2. That means this bigger car of mass m1 moves ahead with the velocity 1 what u1, and the smaller car which moves behind the bigger car, that means the smaller car is having m2 and moving with velocity u2. Okay, so u2 must be greater than u1 in order to have that collision, that means striking of this smaller mass onto this bigger car. What happened, this smaller car should have greater velocity, greater initial velocity than that of the bigger car. Got it? That is what u2 is greater than u1. Suppose this bigger car is moving somewhere here. Okay, let's take it, and somewhere here this is a bigger car of mass m1, right? And this bigger car is moving with velocity u1. Got it? u1, like this. With a velocity u1. Got it? And so what happened, the smaller car is also moving somewhere here with a velocity u2 in this direction. Got it? So what happened, this u2 must be greater than u1 in order to have that collision or striking by this smaller car onto the bigger car. What happened, there must be greater velocity of this smaller car than that of the bigger car. Okay, so that is what u2 must be greater than u1. Got it? u2 must be greater than u1. These are all vector quantity. That is why I put one arrow here, another arrow here. Okay, so along a straight line on the same path, okay, one is moving, this bigger car of mass m1 is moving forward, and this smaller car of mass m2 is moving behind that of the bigger car. And so what happened, as this velocity is more than this velocity of the bigger car, what happened, they need to collide it. This moves slow in one case. Okay, in a simple language, the bigger car moves slow, whereas the lighter car, okay, the smaller car moves fast. So that what happened, u2 is greater than u1. So okay, let's take it that the smaller car and the bigger car collides. When they hit each other for a small time, let's take it for a short time, small t. Got it? Then during the collision, what happened, the velocity will surely change. Okay, the velocity will surely change. This were the initial velocity. So let the velocity after the collision be denoted by v1 and v2 respectively. The velocity of this initial velocity before collision was u1. After collision, what happened, the velocity be denoted by v1 for the bigger mass, and for that of the lighter mass, let's denote it by v2. Okay, it is given here also. Got it? Somewhere here, right? Now let's see in the next slide that these two, what happened, let's see the momentum. Okay, momentum, the sum of the momentum before collision and the sum of the momentum after collision, right? Suppose that during the collision, okay, the bigger car exerts a force F1 onto the smaller car. That means during the collision, one must be action? Okay, that action, let's denote it that the bigger car exerts a force onto the smaller car. Actually, the smaller car hits the bigger car, So if one is action, the another will be reaction. The force that is given onto that smaller car, that will be the reaction, but the force that is acted by the smaller car onto the bigger car, that will be the action. So if one is action, another will be reaction, as there is no other external forces in between that two cars, except those two cars are there and there are no other forces. Okay, so we will take it that as an isolated system of that small car and the big car. Got it? There are no other forces except that two objects, bigger car, smaller car, right? Suppose during the collision, what happened? The bigger car exert a force F1 onto the smaller car. That is nothing but the reaction. Okay, so your bigger car also gives a force onto the smaller car, and at the same time the smaller car will also give a force onto the bigger car. So let the reaction, okay, given by the bigger car onto the smaller car be denoted by F1. That is the meaning. Okay, so what happened? Its velocity changes from u2 to v2. That means the smaller car will experience the force, right? Because the force is giving back by the bigger mass, okay, by the bigger car. So your m2 is the mass of that of the smaller mass, and let's take it that a2 as the acceleration that is produced when the force is given by what, the bigger mass onto the smaller mass. So let the force that is given by the bigger car onto the smaller car be denoted by F1, and we know that by Newton's second law of motion that F will be equal to mass into acceleration. So as this F1 is the force experienced by the smaller mass, then what happened? A smaller car, I mean, then it will be equal to what? Mass of the smaller car is m2, and the acceleration produced, let's denote it as a2. So it will be equal to m2 into acceleration means change in velocity divided by time. We call it that as rate of change of velocity. When time is in the denominator, we generally call it as rate. Rate of what? Rate of change of velocity. So we call it that as what? Acceleration, right? So change in velocity is what? Final velocity minus initial velocity. Final velocity of the light car is v2. Its initial velocity is u2. So v2 minus u2, final velocity minus initial velocity of that light car divided by time of collision, then you will get it as acceleration. Similarly, in the case of this bigger car also, when the force is giving onto that bigger mass by the lighter car, okay, onto the bigger car, got it? Then what happened? Let the force given by the smaller car onto the bigger car be denoted by F2, and the force will be experienced by the bigger car, yes, by the bigger car. So its mass is m1. Its velocity also changes. Previously, before collision, it moves with the initial velocity u1. After collision, it moves with the velocity v1. So final velocity minus initial velocity divided by time, that we call it as what? Acceleration. So if these two forces, if one is action, the other is reaction. So by Newton's third law, we know that action and reaction are equal and opposite. And in the case of vector quantity, these forces are all vector quantity, okay? That action and reaction are equal and opposite. If the two forces are equal in magnitude, opposite in direction, then we generally write that F1 is equal to minus of F2, like that. Got it? So let's see in the next slide here. See, according to Newton's third law, as I said, F1 is equal to minus of F2, right? F1 is equal to minus of F2. You can also write F2 is equal to minus of F1, doesn't matter, okay? So if one force is equal in magnitude with the other, and we relate it by equal to. If they are equal in magnitude and opposite in direction, then one minus should be given either here or there, okay, but not on both sides. Got it? So this represents what? The two forces are equal in magnitude and opposite in direction. So as per that one, Newton's third law, if you try to replace the expression of that F1 and F2 in this, then you will get like this. So after simplification, okay, this TT will be cancelled, and then what happen if you open this, if you multiplied M2 onto the both equation M2 V2, then M2 U2 will come here. Similarly on this side also minus M1 V1, okay, and what happened, this will be minus M1, one minus is missing here, okay, I think one minus is missing, right? See, if you try to multiply this M1 with V1, then it will be minus M1 V1, right? So one minus is missing, you put it that one minus here, okay, minus of M1 V1, and this is minus, so minus will be plus, so M1 U1 will be there, rather plus M1 U1 will be there, so this will be plus, got it, this will be minus. And if you try to rearrange this above relation, these relations, such that you try to move this or transfer this minus M2 U2 onto the right side, then it will be what, M1 U1 plus M2 U2. And if you try to transfer this toward the left hand side, then this minus will come plus, right? So M1 V1 on the left hand side, M1 V1 plus M2 V2 will be there on the left hand side, this will be on the left hand side, and this M1 U1 plus M2 U2 will be on the right hand side. So you just interchange those on the left hand side to the right side, those on the right hand side onto the left hand side, and then you will get like this. So what is this, the resulting equation? Now this M1 U1 is the momentum, M1 U1 is the momentum, okay, M1 U1 is the momentum of the bigger car, okay, momentum of the bigger car of mass M1 moving with initial velocity U1, right? So this is the momentum of the bigger car. And what is this M2 U2? This is a mass of the smaller car moving with initial velocity U2 before collision, got it? So these are nothing but these are the initial momentum, okay, initial momentum. Momentum is a singular, okay, momentum is a singular form, whereas momenta, if I'm going to say momenta, that is, these are two momentum, okay, so we call it momenta. So momenta of the body before collision, what, this is a momentum of the bigger car, momentum of the smaller car before collision. So we may say that sum of momenta of the two cars before collision, got it? And this on the right hand side, what are these? This is the momentum of the bigger car before collision, after collision. So after collision its velocity will change, this is the final velocity of the bigger car, right? So this will be the momentum of the bigger car, this is what, momentum of the lighter car or smaller car after collision, got it? So these are nothing but the sum of momentum, okay, of the two cars before collision, sum of the momentum of the two cars after collision. So the sum of momentum before the sum of the momentum of the two cars before collision is equal to the sum of the two momentums of the two car after collision. So it doesn't change, it remains same, it means. So this is nothing but this is the conservation of momentum. Total momentum before collision is equal to total momentum after collision, got it? That is known as conservation of momentum, got it? I will give you one example, okay, just to represent this again, the last one. Okay, you take it a test tube onto a stand like this and fill with some water, and you close with a cork there on its nozzle or mouth, on its opening end, I should say, you fill with water first, a small amount, and then you fix it with its what opening with a cork, okay, airtight cork. And then if you hit that water at the bottom somewhere here like this by using your spirit lamp, if you hit it, then what happened after boiling, what happened, with the gases will be coming out, and this cork will push us outward with a cork sound, okay, with a pop sound. That popping sound will be coming up due to that, what happened, due to the gases there inside the test tube. So what happened, there is a collision with what and what, with that gases and this what, with this cork, okay. So what happened, the cork will fly in this direction, whereas the test tube will move backward like this in this direction. So before, what happened, there is no what collision, that means when there is no poking, that means between this test tube and what cork, there is no bursting. At that time it was stationary here. So as these two are moving in the opposite direction, when you try to bring it and if you try to sum up these two, then it will be again at this position. So just to remain this what test tube in position as this is moving, the cork is moving forward, what happened, this will test tube will try to move little bit toward the back side. This will move with a very high speed because this is somewhat light, but this one is heavy due to the glass as well as due to the presence of water inside it. So what happened, it will move little bit backward, and this what your cork being light, it will move with a what greater velocity. Mass small, velocity will be very high. This is of large mass, velocity will be small, because momentum of this and momentum of this will be what, equal and opposite, okay. So being light mass, velocity must be what, more. Got it? In that way, what happened, total momentum, conservation of the momentum is also seen here, okay. With that, we will try to come to the end of our today's class, okay. Thank you.